7 up or something. Thank you.
Well, Mr. MacDonald, I mean, just to start, could you sort of briefly summarize the Navajo position in this dispute?
Well, why was no serious attempt made by the Indians to solve the problem?
Because, first of all, it is a series of mistakes beginning back in 1882. Back in 1882, President Garfield made an executive order taking out a certain portion of the land that you see up there, the square area, giving it to the Hopis and any other Indians that the Secretary may settle on there. Navajos were already on there at the time of the executive order, and for some reason or another, Secretary of the Interior never settled officially the Navajos on that land, even though they were on there all the time, even before the lines were drawn. And then, well, the Indians lived together in the Navajo and the Hopis, irrespective of the lines. They live like they have lived before even the lines were drawn, county lines or state lines were drawn. And so they live in spite of that line until back in 1950, when the government set up an Indian Land Claims Commission. At this point, the Hopis hired an attorney, the Navajos also hired an attorney, to seek out lands that were unlawfully taken from them. The Navajos began to look on the outside of the reservation. The Hopi attorneys began to look within the Navajo reservation, as you could see right there. They're inside the Navajo reservation. Well, they came upon this 1882 document, which said, for Hopis and any other Indians, the Secretary may settle thereon. And they asked for papers that settled the Navajos on that land. Well, they didn't have it. So then the Hopi attorney says, well, Navajos are trespassing. But we say that we were always there. We were there before, and and the Secretary of Interior has been administering programs on that land for the Navajos. So we have, in a sense, been settled on there. But the dispute came about. Congress didn't want to touch it, so Congress said, since each one of you tribes have an attorney, why don't you go to court and fight it out in court? We'll give you the permission. So legislation was passed in 1956 for the two tribes to sue each other. This happened, and in 1962, a decision was made by a three-court judge, and the decision was that the District 6, the triangular area within that area, identified as District 6, would be 100% Hopis, and anything around the outside District 6 within that square area will be jointly used by Navajo and Hopis, inasmuch as there is some technicality. The first technicality is that the Navajos were not settled on that land.